The newly drawn Congressional District 23, Fort Lauderdale to Boca, is an open seat where Republican candidate Joe Budd is challenging Democrat Jared Moskowitz, the former head of the State Emergency Management.
Congressman Deutch of Boca Raton represented that district for the last dozen years, but decided to retire from Congress. Joe Budd is a businessman, an activist in the local and state Republican Party. He is the Republican candidate in that district, and he joins us now from Boca Raton by Zoom. Mr. Budd, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Glenn and Michael. Thank you for having me.
We're glad you're here. Mr. Budd, after that candidate forum at the Tower Club in Fort Lauderdale not long ago, Jared Moskowitz said he would not debate you because you are an election denier and believe in the QAnon theorist conspiracy. So let me give you a chance to answer. Are you?
Absolutely not. In that article you're referring to from the Sun Sentinel, we were both interviewed after that forum, and I deny what he said. It's absolutely not true. The election was not stolen. I don't support any type of conspiracy theories.
Joe Budd, you are a Republican in what was, before redistricting, a very, very blue district, and there would be a lot of political observers that write off any Republican candidate. Now it's 23. It is a much more moderate, still Democrat-leaning, but not a hugely blue territory now. And yet, as we were speaking with the Congressman Diaz-Balart, kind of a mixed bag. So as a conservative Republican candidate, speak to your district on how you might effectively represent everybody.
Well, first of all, I was the first individual to run against Ted Deutch in a general election. At that time, the Cook Political Report, which is the handicapper of all districts throughout the country, said that the Democrats had a 26% advantage in that race. I outperformed that number in 2010. Now, the Cook Political Report is only calling the advantage for Democrats 5%, and I've outperformed in every election I've ever been in. I'll outperform that number as well, and I feel we're going to win this race.
Joe, let me ask you the question that we asked Mario Diaz-Balart a minute ago. The January 6th committee, as you know, as the world knows, said it's going to issue a subpoena for Donald Trump to testify. Should Mr. Trump go to Washington and testify before that committee?
Well, he can make that decision on his own. My opponent also had to be subpoenaed to go in front of depositions for being part of a company that has been accused multiple times of overbilling on hurricane cleanup. And my opponent has made millions of dollars from damage from hurricanes. Just look at his net worth and his financial filings. They went from under $300,000 in 2011 to over $4 million in 2021. When he sees a hurricane, he sees dollar signs, not the human tragedy that's part of these hurricanes. We saw winds and waves come up in video and destroy houses right off of their foundations, and all he wants to talk about is how much it's going to cost to rebuild everything.
Joe, let me jump in here and simply say, obviously, Mr. Moskowitz isn't here to defend his financial or business dealings, so let's move on beyond that, if you would.
Well, I mean, I invited him to a debate. He certainly would have the opportunity to defend that, but he refuses to debate because there's so many skeletons in his closet.
So our venue is a venue where our viewers get to see and hear and listen to candidates and where they stand and what they would do. I know, as reading your literature as a conservative Republican, I wanted to let people hear from you about, I'm going to guess you, if in Congress, would have also, like many of your colleagues in the party, voted against spending bills, the infrastructure bill, COVID Relief Act, and the Inflation Reduction Act. So far, would you have voted no on those?
Well, I mean, look at the results, all right? The results are, under the Biden administration and the Democrats, we have runaway inflation. We have record high gas prices, record high food costs, record high housing costs, record high medical costs. Anything that they've done has only made the problem worse. It's not inflation reduction, it's inflation increasing. They're just not doing it right. They need business people that need to go to Congress again. in order to deal with these issues from a business perspective, not from let's throw out the kitchen sink and try to put dollars in for every constituent that we're trying to get to vote for us.
Okay, good. So that, so the part two to that question is, you are a businessman. So we've listened to a lot of criticism, both for President Biden and those acts and the policies. So much criticism. Rarely do we hear very concrete solutions, though. So as a business person, what would be some of those things that you might suggest to curb inflation and to bring down gas prices?
Well, the start of this is the obvious one. Probably the worst case scenario that could have been done that Joe Biden did on the second day of his administration was to stop oil and gas drilling on federal lands and the Keystone XL pipeline, and then drilling in Anwar. Now, those things were right away out of the gates. Now, look at the problems that resulted in that. 6,000 products are made from the oil industry, transportation, goods and services going from one place to another. But here, even the greatest side effect of what's going on by putting your foot on the neck of our fossil fuel industry is we are funding the war in Ukraine. We are funding people like Putin in order to have the money to go and exercise a war in Ukraine.
Wait,
Joe,
I'm sorry, you said we are funding Putin? How in the world is the United States funding Putin?
By the Biden administration energy policy. See, oil and gas could be $30 a barrel instead of $90 a barrel. That $90 a barrel is Putin is profiting from that in order to fund his war on Ukraine. That's a side effect of bad policy. That is the major implication of the inflation that's going on in the United States right now. We need to go back to drilling our oil. We could be energy, not just energy independent, but we should be energy dominance. They want to take the sanctions off of Venezuela right now in order to buy oil from them. What's next? Iraq? We're going to start buying oil from Iraq next?
So
we have our own.
Would you then advocate the 9,000 leases that currently exist for companies to drill? Would you advocate the companies start exploring those 9,000 leases?
Well, first of all, if I'm sitting here with a straw drinking a cup of water, eventually that cup of water goes empty. So you could say there's 9,000 leases out there, but they've been sucking that oil out of that ground for who knows how long. Again, day 2, executive order, shut all that down. They actually reopened in June. And what they did is they only opened up 20% of what was available before, and they put a 50% increase on the royalty that they charged to get it out of federal leased lands. So again, they're just trying to attack the fossil fuel industry, and it's causing all kinds of problems, a worldwide recession, just because of their energy policy.
Joe Budd, we are out of time. We are very glad that you could join us, hear your point of view, and we'll see what happens November 8th.
God bless you guys. Thank you for having me on today.
Thank you so much.